So will AI and ChatGPT replace our emotions, our human interactions, and our religion? I was thinking about this topic when I was reading the headlines today. You can see one here. A college apologized for using ChatGPT to write an email to students about the Michigan State University shooting. And there was another one here. ChatGPT is coming for religion, and lazy pastors might use it to write their sermons, but it has no soul. And this is sort of the question that I'm thinking to myself: does it have a soul? Could it replace humans and maybe even do a better job than humans? So we're going to put it to a couple of paces here. The first one is I asked ChatGPT, write a sermon in the voice of a Baptist pastor on the dangers of greed. And I want to go through it and you guys can see the results. So this is coming from the AI ChatGPT and it's coming for religion. Dear brothers and sisters in Christ, today I want to talk to you about a topic that is near and dear to my heart: the dangers of greed. Greed is a powerful force that can take hold of even the most faithful and devout believers. It can lead us down the path of destruction, both spiritually and emotionally. The Bible tells us that the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. That's 1 Timothy 6:10. When we become too focused on accumulating wealth, we lose sight of what really matters in life. We see examples of greed all around us, in the world, and even within our own communities. People are constantly striving for more money, more possessions, and more power. But the truth is that these will never bring true happiness or fulfillment. In fact, they often lead to feelings of emptiness and dissatisfaction. We must remember that our true treasure is in heaven, not on earth. Jesus tells us, Matthew 6:19-21, do not store up for yourself treasures on earth where moss and vermin destroy, where the thieves break in and steal, but store up here for yourselves treasures in heaven where moss and vermin do not destroy, where the thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. When we become too focused on accumulating wealth and possessions, we risk losing sight of our true purpose as followers of Christ. We are called to love God, love our neighbors as ourselves, not to accumulate wealth and power. So my brothers and sisters, I urge you to be vigilant against the dangers of greed. Let us focus on what is truly important in life, our relationship with God and our relationships with others. Let us strive to be content with what we have and to use our resources to help those in need. May God bless us all and guide us on the path of righteousness. Amen. So it was interesting. It's funny when I'm reading through this thing. It is basically a template for a sermon. And it reminds me of sort of the, how can I say, the regular tropes of a religious sermon. And I grew up in the Baptist church, so I know all of this stuff. And you guys may or may not know, I had considered being a youth pastor myself. But this actually embodies what a sermon would be it the pros and the cons. I don't want to get too much to a deep dive into my thoughts on religion, but I just want to show what the AI is capable of doing. And in fact, I think this is a pretty typical sermon at a Baptist church. I'm curious though, we'll switch topics. I want to see just a couple different tasks for AI. This time I asked it to write an email to students dealing with a school shooting on a college campus, which unfortunately is a problem in the USA. And we just had a shooting at Michigan State. So let's see what the AI comes up with. And again, this actually happened where it was a department at Vanderbilt University used it, and then people were upset that AI was used to write the email. Subject: message of condolence and support in the wake of tragic incident on campus. Dear students, it is with a heavy heart that I write to you today to express my deepest condolences and sympathies in the aftermath of the school shooting that occurred on our campus yesterday. We understand that this tragedy has deeply affected our community, and we are here to support you in any way we can. We want to assure you that our top priority is the safety and well-being of our students, faculty, and staff. We are working closely with law enforcement to ensure that our campus is secure, and we're doing everything in our power to provide the necessary support to those who have been impacted by this terrible event. We understand that many of you may be experiencing a range of emotions right now, including shock, fear, anger, and sadness. We encourage you to reach out to one another, talk about your feelings, to seek support from our campus resources, such as our counseling center, support services, student support services, and other resources. In the coming days, we'll be holding community gatherings and events to support and comfort one another. We encourage you to attend these events and to share your thoughts and feelings with your peers and campus leaders. We want to remind you that our campus is a safe place and that we will continue to do everything in our power to ensure your safety and well-being. Please know that we are here for you and that we will continue to provide updates and information as we have them. In closing, please know that our thoughts and prayers are with those who have been impacted by this tragedy. We will work together as a community to support one another and to heal in the coming days and weeks. Sincerely, your name, your title, your institution. And, it's funny. I was kind of chuckling through this because this is basically how those emails sound. So, it's funny to me when people were complaining about, say, the message that Vanderbilt sent out, because the thing is with universities, or it's not just universities, like any kind of official communication to people, you have to be like really careful about what you say. And oftentimes it does, in fact, just come across generic. And I think, just talking out loud with you guys, be it religion, be it politics, be it, official communication from companies or universities, there's always those things that you just feel like people are required to say, right? It's like, oh, they have to say that. And kind of know it's not that it's completely untrue. It's just, I guess the right word is generic, or perfunctory is another word that I was thinking of. And one of the things that, is going to separate you, just if you're listening to this right now, from the AI, from the robots, is thinking on the spot. And this is something that I have noticed a real problem. We'll just talk about politics. I think that's a good example of many, many politicians, to where it's a real debate, right? I mean, that they're on stage, they're having a debate, and everyone just goes into their scripted message. And then even though the debate, in terms of like physically present, they're all there, but no one is actually really listening to each other. No one's really talking to each other. It's all scripted. And that's why the politicians never answer the questions, because they not never, but they don't like to go off script. And there's very few people who can think on their feet. That's just the reality of it. And I don't think it's just politics. You could say for any number of positions. And my personal feeling is that I'm just going through this is with the AI and the robots. I think this kind of stuff is only going to get worse, and it's going to be, we're going to have sort of this public facade of public discourse that's going to be so generic and sterile, and then you're going to have the real talk behind closed doors, which very few people actually get to ever experience, right? So I don't think this GPT stuff, AI stuff is a fad. I think this is something that's going to stick with us for a long time. I do think though this, some people read it the other way. Some will say, oh well, now everyone's going to be lazy and we're all just going to use this. But just thinking out loud, I think this is going to put more sort of emphasis on why you should learn how to write for yourself, why you should learn how to think for yourself, because in order to stand out, you're going to need to be better than the robots. You don't want to sound like all the other robots. And, for me personally, if you guys have watched my channel, you guys may not know, I don't have any script. Like, I literally just make stuff up as I talk. I mean, I just talk freely. And very, very few people on YouTube do that. So many people are heavily, heavily edited. That's why I mentioned that. And sometimes you may hear me repeat stuff, a couple times here and there, but because I'm talking to you like a human being. I'm talking to you like a person. And, it's going to be hard, because I keep saying this over and over again. I think the divide between educated and uneducated is going to get bigger. I think the divide in this example between people who can just determine what is someone's real voice opposed to a robot voice, right? I think that's going to be an important skill, right? And the divide between the people who can and cannot figure that out is going to get bigger as well. And, I do these videos for you guys because I want to raise your awareness of what is happening in the world, right? Raise your awareness so that you can be successful in this world. I think ChatGPT, AI, this stuff's coming. I can see it right here. We just went through a couple things. Yes, it'll probably affect people who, write regular public communications. I'm sure people are going to use this stuff. I mean, already today, I use spell checker. I can't spell worth beans. I consider myself a pretty intelligent person, but I can't spell. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just can't. And the computer fixes all my spellings, and that's great. Also too, just capitalization, right? Which sometimes you're like, okay, does this capitalize? Does this not capitalize? That kind of stuff. That stuff I've used for years. I've no shame in that. And I think this sort of writing assistant ChatGPT stuff is just going to be a real thing. However, I just want to emphasize, for you to stand out is you need to think about, okay, how can your voice be better than the robots to really stand out? It's going to be harder to stand out, to be really frank. But I don't think it's impossible. And also too, the sort of personal experiences that you can add into any sort of communication that you have, and think on your feet, like I said again. Because I've noticed so many times, it's not just, say, presidential basis like that. It's also in meetings. When you take a meeting with someone and you actually truly do listen to someone says and you give a proper response, they are more likely to respond back to you. The larger the disconnect, the larger miscommunication or lack of communication or lack of connection you have with another person, the harder it will be for you to move up in society. It'll be funny. It'll be like you'll be writing these nice emails because you're using the AI, et cetera. And then when you finally meet people, you can't communicate at all. And I think that is going to be hard to replace. And I don't see that ever being replacing, meaning that the need for human-to-human connection is always going to be there, be it in life, relationships, the workplace, et cetera. So yes, ChatGPT is coming, but if you really, really want to rise beyond it, don't neglect your writing and communication skills. They're still going to be needed. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this thing. What do you think about ChatGPT going after religion and this sort of like, sending condolences to students? Thanks again for your time, and I'll catch you in the next video.